New games feel familiar, like you've played them before, even when they're branded as something fresh. It's not just you. There's a reason why so many games these days seem to lack originality, and today we're diving deep into why the magic of discovery is fading. The AAA industry has perfected the game template. Open world exploration, checklist objectives, crafting systems, and skill trees. Sounds familiar? Well, it's a formula that guarantees sales but often sacrifices innovation. Developers lean on what works today because experimenting is risky when a single flop can sink your entire studio. Let's take a look at Ubisoft, for example. From Assassin's Creed to Far Cry, their games often follow a nearly identical structure. Climb towers to unlock maps, clear out enemy outposts, and grind for upgrades. While these systems were exciting at first, they've become predictable now. The thrill of exploration is replaced with a chore list disguised as gameplay. And it's definitely not only Ubisoft. EA's FIFA games and Activision's Call of Duties are trapped in similar cycles, offering annual releases with minor updates. And this feeling isn't limited to franchises. Even new IPs often play it safe, mimicking what's already been proven to work. For players, the result is an experience that feels increasingly mechanical. What I mean is, it feels like a manual instead of embarking on an adventure. When every game starts to feel the same, the sense of discovery that game thrives on begins to fade. Big studios operate like corporations, and originality often takes a backseat to profitability. They're more focused on mimicking trends than to innovate. Think about the countless battle royales that popped up after Fortnite blew up. These games rarely bring something new to the table. Instead, they're engineered to capitalize on an existing market. And when studios do take risk, they often hedge their bets by incorporating elements from successful competitors. The result, you may ask? Games that are part original and part imitation, a formula that neither truly innovates or satisfies. For every Death Stranding that dared to be different, there are dozens of titles that play it safe, recycling ideas instead of pushing their boundaries. When games try to appeal to everyone, they often end up pleasing no one. Broad, generalized designs aim to reach the widest audience possible, but I don't know, they lose that personality that makes a game truly special. Breath of the Wild had a clear vision. It had freedom, exploration, and discovery. Every mechanic, from climbing mountains to cooking dubious food, contributed to that sense of adventure. But now, try to think about its imitators. Many open-world games that followed felt like they were assembled from a corporate checklist. Do we have towers? Check. Fetch quests? Double check. A crafting system because players love collecting random herbs? Triple check. Imagine going to a restaurant where you have this huge menu. You can choose everything you want, but everything tastes just fine. You'll just eat it, but you're not going to tell your friends about it. These games lack the spark that made Breath of the Wild groundbreaking. That spark that made you look at the bokoblin camp and think, what if I set it on fire, instead of sneaking in? This all things for all people approach lead to games that feel blandly competent rather than passionately crafted. They're functional but uninspired, designed to be as inoffensive and marketable as possible. Instead of creating these memorable moments, they deliver a steady stream of predictable gameplay loops that fail to leave a lasting impression. It feels like watching a sitcom where every joke just lands okay. Nothing bad enough to quit, but nothing good enough to laugh out loud either. And don't get me started on the characters either. These games often have protagonists that are so generic they might as well be named Hero McProtag. Instead of having strong, unique personalities, they're designed to be blank slates so everyone can relate to them. Don't get me wrong, we are part of the problem too. Gamers often flock to what's familiar, making it hard for experimental titles to break through. When a game like Dark Souls introduces something innovative, the industry doesn't respond with creativity, but with copycats. The result is Souls-like games are everywhere now. Shout out to the comment who brought this to my attention. We've been conditioned to crave the same experiences because they feel safe. But if we want more originality, we have to support it. We have to try new genres, play indie games, and give the outliers also a chance. Every time we buy a sequel over something experimental, we're voting for the status quo. It's not just about the money, it's about feedback. When we champion originality on forums, social media or reviews, we send a message to developers that there's a demand for bold, innovative games. So, while there's a large portion of games that are stuck in the never-ending loop of open-world checklist syndrome, however, there is hope for the next coming games. Because of recent games performing pretty bad, like Assassin's Creed Mirage, it could serve as a wake-up call. And with this, I also hope Assassin's Creed Shadows will be something fresh. Because it's clear that players are growing tired of the same old checklist-driven gameplay, even if it comes with fewer towers to climb. This could be the big push the industry needs to start thinking outside the box again. Players are hungry for something new, something that feels fresh and bold. Not just a reskin of old IDs. So, while Mirage didn't light the world on fire, it's possible that this failure could prompt developers to take bigger risks and create more memorable, innovative experiences. Of course, I know there are plenty of unique games out there, but I'm talking about AAA games here. These games have the biggest budgets, so it would be very cool to see an AAA quality game with a unique ID. With that, if you're looking for original games, the key is to step outside the mainstream and be willing to explore the lesser known corners of the gaming world. Start by diving into indie games, where developers have the freedom to take risks without the pressure of appeasing larger publishers or investors. Platforms like itch.io, Steam, even the Epic Games Store are great places to find hidden gems. Look for games that don't fit into traditional genres or offer something fresh in terms of mechanics, art style, or storytelling. Another very good strategy is to read reviews and watch gameplay videos from creators who focus on exploring original and innovative games, rather than just the latest AAA releases. By making a conscious effort to look beyond sequels and franchise-heavy lineups, you'll uncover a world of inventive, boundary-pushing games that deliver experiences you won't find in the mainstream. You can also just buy older games in the series, where the concepts were freshly introduced, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So to wrap things up, new games don't feel original because the industry prioritizes safety over creativity. But there's hope. For every bland AAA title, there's a daring indie game waiting to be discovered. And if we as players demand innovation, the industry will have to adapt. Thank you so much for watching. Maybe you like my next one, and as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, donate, master.